Hey everybody, so it's Peter here down in the man shed. This is a little front video to the main video to say that I do know that Alan of Dragon Junction has fixed his Class 66 and what he did to fix it. So following, from what I'm talking about in this video, it's all, that was before I had prior knowledge that he had fixed his, and he's now solved a question, a query for me as regards what Batman do with their motors. Do they use the same motors? So in the film that you'll see, I'm deliberating about that. I do know they changed the mountings, but Alan got around that one by taking items from the old motor, fixing it to his new motor, which wasn't supposed to be for the 66, and getting it running. So that's great news, and it also means I now know that you just don't need a motor specifically for the 66. So that's great. Alright, so yeah, that's what this just a little front video in front of the main video, guys. Alright. And I do apologise, I am showing my ugly face, but there we go. Thought we're all doing it, so why not? Alright, catch you later, guys. Bye. Hello everybody, Peter here down in the man shed. Oh, shock horror, what am I doing in front of the camera? Well, because this is not too much about having trains running around, looking at trains on my layout. This has been just brought up in my mind because of what Alan of Dragon Junction tried to do the other day with a live stream, supposedly changing an engine in a Class 66. Should have been very straightforward. Unfortunately for him, Batman and the internet let him down. But it got me thinking, because he mentions me a few times. We both share a common problem, unfortunately, which is where we've both got very good experience of how to get our motors out and our locos, because we've had trouble with them. And this is what this is about. I just want to share with you my experiences. Now, I've been in this hobby for even under 2 years. So the layout that you see was created maybe last August. I got into the world of DCC by going up on the Flying Scotsman to Edinburgh back in May 2 years ago, and when I come back I wanted, I've done a video, as you know, as a YouTube video where I talk about my trip with the Scotsman. So I've got my lump of coal, I've got my cinders, and I wanted a model of the Scotsman, and to get the very best model of the Flying Scotsman is obviously going down the route of HomeBe, and I ended up buying a HomeBe TTS Flying Scotsman. Had it on display. I was no intention of building a model railway layout, but like Alan, I too don't just have something in a box or whatever. And she was sitting up on the display shelf. And I started thinking to myself, oh, it would be nice to see, what is all this DCC about? Because this is a TTS fitted loco. And what is DCC? So, yeah, that's what got me into the world of DCC. So, yeah, so then went online to look at track plans and things like that. And as you know, in my shed here, I've just got the board is 7x4. Could have stretched it an 8x4 if I, at a squeeze, but it really, I mean, the shed is a storage from the other models, and obviously gardening and stuff. It's a shed at the end of the day. So maybe I could have squeezed it out to being an 8x4, but anyway, so she's a 7x4 with a really, in actuality, a 6x4 layout, because there's sidings up the side there together with a programming track which takes up the whole 7 foot. But ostensibly the layout is a 6x4 double, with the second and third radius. So the Flying Scots, so when I found this track plan that I've stuck with, and it was, the track plan was for HomeBe set track. I never thought about it. I did have a Pico track, well, I still have, up in the loft back in the day. And I do remember having to cut all around the sleep, when you come to joining 2 points together, and you was cutting sleepers away. I do remember that, and I thought, do I want to go through that again? Because I didn't really know how much I'll get into this game again. So anyway, I elected to go to the route of just buying the straightforward HomeBe set track pieces, and the layout that I looked at, sort of, you know, I knew what I needed in order to build it. So this is what you know, when you look at my layout, you know, my videos, this is what you get. So it's all HomeBe set track. It was quite, knew what to get in order for it to fit on the 6x4s and one thing and another. Started off with a HomeBe Select with the very first DCC setup that I got. Soon realised that with the Flying Scotsman, and then my second purchase, which was a Bachmann Class 66, which just happened to be the one that Alan had trouble with, 66040 is a Soundfitted Batman, EWS coloured livery, and that was, you know, so all of a sudden with the HomeBe Select it was having to operate two sound locos, and guess what, it didn't. Further investigation, it found it was down. I found it was expensive upgrade because it was like another 40 quid for a better power supply, because that's what it needed. The HomeBe Select only comes with a 1 amp. 4 amp fitted it alright, but then, you know, the Select itself has got limitations. Found myself going the route of the HomeBe Elite, and that now, as I say, is 2 years old, but that's given me troubles now. I mean, so I use it just like as a program. Here it is. You know, when I need to use it, I just plug it in on the track here and do my CVs and things like that. But the trouble is, these little dials, they do everything. You know, you press it one way and it changes the direction of the locomotive. Press it the other way, it changes the direction. You push some buttons on the side here, you press it, and you see what you're doing here. So you select CV23, and what's happening now, this dial's becoming very erratic. So you select CV26, you press the dial, and it's like jumped to 24 or 27 or something like that. I sent it back to HomeBe to say, look, this particular dial on this side, which is what you do a lot of your programming with, is, you know, it's not reliable. It comes up with, you know, it jumps, and, you know, sort of, you want to do something rather. Plus there's this action where you use the throttle where you can just keep spinning it, and, you know, backwards and forwards. It's not a complete round and then all the way back again. You can just keep spinning and spinning and spinning. So went away to HomeBe. It come back exactly the same way that I sent it off to them. So I thought, oh well, that's no good. So thought myself, well, this is driving me mad, because every time I selected a locomotive, it was like hit or miss whether or not if it would actually select the loco that I wanted. It'll either jump one number either side, you know, so say like 6640 for the sound loco, it goes 6641 or 6639. You know, this thing would make the numbers jump. So I've upgraded to the Gauge Master Prodigy Express 2 and love it to pieces. So easy to use, so great. Wish I'd bought it in the first place, to be honest. Touch wood, it's not let me down. It's brilliant. However, there's one thing, you guys, I discovered the other day on the Hatton's website. If ever you are thinking about getting the Hatton's Class 66 and you get the Lego Man Biffo's Project chip to go in it for the sound and everything, all the lighting features on the new Hatton 66, they're all controlled by the buttons, you know, whatever. So they're all individual, so you can have what you want working or not working. Except that if you are the owner of one of these Project Expresses 2, number 2, F2, is for the rear lights on the loco, on the Hatton's loco. Well, guess what, guys? F2 is not an on-off button. It's just like you select it and it's off. So if you want the lights, you know, so when you press it, the red light would come on, but it's not a press and hold button. As soon as you release, it's off, which would mean that your red running light on your loco is off because it's F2. All the other buttons, fine, you know, no worries. But on the Gauge Master Select, the number F function 2 is an on-off, you know, hold on off. I don't know what you call it, but basically it's activated when you press it, and it's deactivated as soon as you let go. So if you want something to be on, that's no good. Number 3 is fine, you know, that stays on. So Just a little bit of a problem with the Hatton 66, that you wouldn't be able to have your red rear lights on. Not that you would have it if it was a loco, you know, prototypically, because they don't have them on unless it's running light. But it would just mean if you got one of these, you can't have it running light because you won't get the red lights on. So, right, now what's all this video about? Let's show you. Okay, so there's 5 locomotives that we're looking at here. 4 of them I've had to change the motors. Now let's see, so we got 6640. That's the one, well that's not the one in actual fact, but that's the first Soundfitted Batman that I bought when I got into DCC. But in actual fact it's not that particular one, it's this one. So she was the first one I bought. After a month or so of working, it came up with this erratic running feature whereby when you're going up through the throttle, by the time it hit the mid-range it would then start running erratically and then get past that point and continue running normally, and then when you decelerated the same thing happened. As you came through the speed steps, got to a certain speed steps, ran erratically and then behaved itself when it went past that point. So if it's running 28 speed steps, somewhere in the region of say 12 or 13, which is like mid-range setting, which basically is what I use most of the time, the thing would be all over the show, running jerkily, and you soon know about it if it was pulling a rake of wagons, because they made a heck of a noise as they're getting jerked around. So why is that not 66040 that it should have been? The body shell is donated by one that I got off of eBay, and it's the older model 66, because I don't know if you can see, well probably not on here, the grill at the top here is not for the could be a sound fitted one, unlike the new 66s where the grill's got it's got holes in it to let the sound through, because the chassis underneath has got the recess that takes a speaker. This has the recess because this is the same loco as this one, just the body shell, but the one that this body came off from wasn't designed to be sound, because the metal chassis underneath didn't have a recess for the speaker. It's something they did later on. Also the pickups, not on this one, but the pickups on these early Bachmans, they only picked up on 8 wheels, not the whole 12 that they do now. So that was the difference. But that was an eBay purchase to get a very good body shell, because the original one, as I say, I was new to DCC. When it went wrong, because it was under a year old, I sent it back to Batman, and with a nice little detailed letter saying, look, this is explained. I even phoned them, spoke to some technician or other, and they said, oh, not heard of that one. Oh yeah. So yeah, sent it off. They had it for about a week. Came back, no charge, because they said they'd fixed the problem, and so it was under guarantee and everything. But when I took the loco out of the packaging, it was a very second-hand looking loco. This livery, the EWS livery, this little line at the base of the body here, this I think it's called EWS Gold is the colour. All little bits of it had flecked off, was missing. So where the body had been taken off, all parts of this particular livery and everything, all the way on both sides, had all come off, it flecked off. Okay, if you weather your locos, you'll probably sort of say, oh, that's right, it's realistic, because the real ones have got a bit of rust and paint's missing and this, that and the other, and a bit of weathering will hide that. Well, I don't do that. I have pristine locos. So what was something that cost £220 came back looking very, very second hand. And then worse was to come, when I put it on the layout, it was doing exactly the same as when I sent it off. And I thought, well, what the hell was all that exercise about? I've got a very second hand looking loco now and it still doesn't work. So I thought, I looked into it a bit more. I thought, well, I'm never doing that again. And had it kept to one side, and bought that one, same model. I don't know if I didn't learn by my lessons, but I wanted it, and I wanted it running. at the time I didn't buy this body shell, you know, so I was left with the old 664040 not working correctly, even though it went back to Batman. However, I wanted one, so fool that I am, and I'm not exactly rich, but I actually bought another one, and that's been okay. That's been all right, thank heavens. But no, it wasn't all right. It went wrong, and I couldn't believe it. I thought, two going wrong? Yeah, idiot! Come on, get it right, Peter. No, it went wrong as well. But I thought, crikey, you know, what do I do? But I thought, well, I'm not sending it back to Batman to be repaired, because they didn't, you know, they let me down last time. Took the chip out, and this is the Soundfitted Batman, so they've got their special ESU chips. They can't, according to Lego Man Biffo, they've got some functions disabled, like they can't reblow them, they can't put another sound file on and things like that. They're, you know, there's like a chip specially made just for the Batman as such. So anyway. And I thought to myself, well, I'll put the chip into something. Did I put it into the other 66? I can't remember now. But whatever I did, I put another chip in this one. Sorry, a standard, not a sound chip. I just put a normal, you know, decoder that I had, DCC decoder, that only gave light functions, and I knew that was fine, but it didn't run well in this. It was the same problem. It was all over the show, and I thought, oh, so it's not the chip, because I've put something else in there which I know works, and it's not working. So I thought, well, so it may not be the sound chip. So you think, well, what else is there? So it's obviously the motor. So I thought, as I said, I'm not going to send it back to Batman, but I phoned up Batman Spares and said, do you sell the motors? And they said, yes. Yeah, send us a motor. So two motors came for this one. I ordered two, and to repair this one. And this is before I got the body for this one, so I was going to have the two locos repaired, and then I got the body for this afterwards. Thank heavens, to replace the motor in the 66 is easy. I mean, as Alan, unfortunately, his poor old video the other day would have shown you, it is very, very straightforward. So, change the motor, and touch wood, I'm suspicious like that, it's all been good ever since. And that's both of the 66s, because once I got the other body from eBay, I put that one on, and I've got two pristine locos now, both running fine. So that's that. Now next, right, Batman Class 37 Soundfitted Loco Phoenix. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I think everybody's waiting for these to come out. So that's Phoenix there, guys. But that one there is also Phoenix, because guess what? The motor went wrong on it a couple of weeks after having running around, and bearing in mind I do everything that they say. It was running around for an hour each way, mid-range settings, you know, you name it. So it got run in. I didn't have a rolling road. I've got a rolling road now, but I didn't have then. So I had this thing just going round and round the layout for an hour one way, and then an hour the other way. So all my locos get run in as per manufacturer's instructions. And she was running fine for about a month or so, and one day, you know, just had it running, pulling wagons, and then I went to the controller to slow it down, and as it slowed down, she started jerking, doing this erratic behaviour at this certain setting, and then behaved itself once it passed that setting. I thought, oh no, I could see it all happening again. And sure enough, as I sort of you know, tried accelerating, decelerating, yes, it was had a jerky performance. So I thought, oh crikey. So on to Batman. I knew this time it wasn't going to be the chip. Let's get another motor. So in the meantime, whilst waiting for the motor, I got Phoenix because I wanted Phoenix. And why is that one not Phoenix? Well, one of those online shops, be it might be Olivia's Trains, or you know, somebody or other. I can't think of the name of the company now, but it was advertised. I just happened to notice on eBay, one of the suppliers had these sort of excess body shells to sell of all different DRS. That particular one that you're looking at there, rail freight, class 3700906. all in perfect order. Obviously for projects they was going to make, you know, respray, whatever they was going to do with the bodies, and ended up having a surplus, which there was absolutely nothing wrong with them, but they just was selling the body shells. So I thought, well, you know, I've got Euro Phoenix running, and I've got a Euro Phoenix, which I didn't want to renumber or anything like that, so what better than a completely separate body shell, so 2 trains. So again, motor problem. And I thought to myself, I thought there was a pattern developing here, because these are all Soundfitted Batman locos, the 66s and the 37s. And I thought to myself, is there something going on? So, next. Right, well, the answer to the last question was no, there's not a pattern. This is a Class 66, which comes from the Shildon Railway Museum, which is affiliated with the York Railway Museum. It's their special high gloss liveried version of Evening Star, and she is only DCC ready. So I put the ESU Loxan 5 into this loco, and guess what, guys, after a good running in, as per instructions, a week or 2 later started running erratically, and I'm thinking, is it just me, you know? By which time the very first locos I had that I was talking about were running under the HomeBe Elite, and I thought to myself, is there something wrong with the HomeBe Elite? Well, no, because now the Euro Phoenix and the Evening Stars have all been running under the Gauge Master Prodigy. So it's not the controllers, it's something to do with, maybe, as Alan said, maybe we've just had a bad batch of motors or something, I don't know. But yeah, so changed the motor in that one, and he says, touching wood again, everything's working fine. So let me just show you this, what a scary sight. Right, here we are, guys. So 5 motors, 2 from the Class 66s, 2 for the 37s, because what I forgot to tell you, the second Euro Phoenix went wrong as well. But that time I got to know how to change the motor in it, so again sent off for another motor. So that's the issues I've had. I've had 4 motors, guys, that I've had to replace in my 66s and my 37s. There's a 5th one there, that's a Class 37 motor. This was sent by Batman, supposed to have been brand new. It had insulating tape protecting the what do you call it, the contact points on either side, because it's very close in the chassis when you fit this one into the 37. So this one came from Batman, supposedly brand new, and yet it had insulating tape covering these points. When I fitted that one into loco, it was worse than the motor I took out. So I don't know what was going on there, but to me that wasn't brand new. So when I then got no choice but to get onto Batman to get new motors, and I say, they are new, aren't they? And she's a nice lady at the end of the phone. She says, oh yeah, you know, it's how they come to us from China in sealed bags. And I thought, well, that wasn't sealed. This came, you know, in a box with the insulating tape on either side. Anyway, so yeah, useless. So that's supposed to be brand new, never bloody worked. These are the ones that come out from the motors. I can't, you know, physically, sorry, kick the camera, cannot see anything wrong with them, guys. They spin, don't know what's going wrong. The only thing I can think of is that something on the windings, on the armatures inside, have been affected by whatever has gone wrong. As Adam sort of said, look, there's the 66 motor, there's a 37 motor, you've got these flywheels on, and it looks like they balance them, because there's little indentations on the side of these brass. I mean, there's only one on that one. That one's got, yeah, it's got 2 side by side, and another one further round. So it looks like they do actually get balanced, because they're all different. Look, there's 2 dots there, 3, but they're not in the same location. This one's got 4 there. So they must be balanced somehow or other, which makes sense, because they are spinning at a high revolutions, you know, so it's great. But as you know, don't know what the problem would be, and I don't know why I'm keeping these sort of things. Maybe one day I'll be able to find, know how you actually do test them, and actually see if they're usable still or if they literally are for the bin. I don't know. Right, so when Alan tried to change his motor the other day and he got the motor out, his new motor, I could see straight away that on the side there was on here somewhere or other he had sort of like some parts soldered, and I thought to myself, that's not going to go into the body of the 66 because there's a 66 motor. Where's one with a small chip on it? This is at the bottom of the when it comes out, and that sits on top. Normally there's 3 of these soldered around the things. I've taken them off where I've had to try. What I did before, the very first time before I changed it, I actually took all, because I think they're suppressors, guys. And I've read somewhere, which would be, you know, that you don't actually need, if you're running DCC, you don't need these suppressors. And if anything, they can interfere with the signal, the DCC signal. So on that particular one, I took the suppressors off and then put it back into the loco to see if that worked. Unfortunately, it didn't. But you see, what is funny is that the Class 66 comes with 3 of these attached. There's one underneath, there's one normally on the side there, and there might be one on the top where it's been soldered to the chassis there. Just happened to remove it. There's no need to have these on as DCC. And when I saw Alan's one had all these extra gubbins on the side, I thought to myself, you know what, Alan, I think they've sent you the wrong motor. I don't know what motor they did send him because I've only got knowledge of the 66 and the 37s. I know what they look like. And as Alan discovered, well, on the 66 motor there is a rubber washer or plastic, whatever it is, covering the end of the bearing on that side, on the plastic housing of the where the bushes are, and on that end covering the brass bearing, again another little plastic or rubber grommet protecting, yeah. And that's what Alan discovered. I think he's missing those, and that's why it wouldn't sit in the loco correctly. It may have got away with the actual fact that the motor might be the same, because they as you can see, they do seem to be all the same. The balance weights, you know, that's the 37, that's the 66. Same logo on the side. There's a logo on the side there. There's the same logo, but on the 37, those rubber bits, they're missing. All you got here is the plastic of the housing of the bearing and the bushes, and on that end you can see the brass of the end of the bearing. So there's no plastic covering that at all. And also on the 37 as well, she sits in the chassis like that. So where the pickups are for the brushes are very close to the chassis. So that's why you do cover it with a piece of electrical tape, just to make sure that if you're a bit bulky with your soldering, you won't be too close to the chassis. Whereas the 66, that fits in that way. So one brush is underneath. That's why you've got this contraption whereby they make the metal come round the side and then attach the wire to that, as opposed to having a wire coming all the way around there and coming up to the top. That's because she sits like that, and the 66 and the 37 sits like that. And the difference, the 66 has got these rubber or plastic bushes at the end, and the 37 doesn't, because 66 motor is held in place by clamps. 37 motor gets pressed into a plastic cradle, and it just, you know, clips around each end as a very tight fitting. It's quite fiddly to get the motor out, because you've really got to lever it out from these clips. Whereas the 66, absolutely breeze. You just try to just hook something underneath there, and you know, whatever, and then lift it up. So there you are. So that's the differences. But yeah, the motors all look the same. And as regards these suppressors, why I say they're not needed, well, it's just as interesting. I mean, although that's not fitted, that's the motor for the 66 fitted with suppressors. That's the motor for the 37. I've done nothing to that. No suppressors on there. Comes like that. So how comes on the 66 they fit suppressors on the motors, but on the Class 37, even on the PCB board, you can't see. I can't see anything that would be a suppressor. There's nothing there. And why don't you need them nowadays on DCC? Well, you know, what was the suppressor for? Well, back in the day, with your early train sets running on 12 volts direct current, your dad would be sitting there in front of the TV watching his football, and you decide to run your train set. As you turned your controller on to move your loco, all of a sudden all these white noise bars will be going across the front of the TV screen and picking up the noise. It's because the interference that it was giving, that as these motors are spinning, it's the interference that you get from the brushes was used to feed back and affect television equipment. I think even car radios are fitted with suppressors, so that's why they fitted suppressors. But on DCC, that doesn't happen. The power is there all the time. So I can't remember what knowledgeable website it was, but for sure you definitely don't need. I mean, although they come fitted, if you're only running DCC, all right, that's the thing. It's got to be DCC only. So obviously something. When you buy a loco, if it's not sound fitted, it's DCC ready, isn't it? So it will run on your normal DC layout. So perhaps that's why. But they don't do it for the 37s. All these are 37s motors. There's not one single suppressor being soldered to these. That's how they come. Just the two brush, the brushes connections. You know where the brushes are. Nothing else at all. You see, nothing's been soldered to the body of that. Whereas on the on that one, you can see where it's been soldered to the body there and to the body there. And I think this is one I took off and then put it back into the loco to see if it would run, if that made any difference, but it didn't. But there you are, that's a horror story there. I mean, I've only been in this game for just under 2 years, and you're looking at, take one away, because one is a duff one that I was, I should have sent back to Batman, but what's the point? Yeah, but I've had to replace 4, and 3 of these have been on Soundfitted Batman locomotives, the 237s and the 66s. So that's my little horror story. But glad to say, guys, touching wood, everything is running fine now. I'm an expert at replacing the motors in the 66 and the 37, and I've got a box of brand new ones. Right, so here you are. So here's my insurance policy, I hope, as regards in case anything else ever goes wrong. 2 66s and 2 37s in there. So you can see this, that's how they come. So that one's, they're in the bag. This one's been, that's the 66. It's got the suppressor, what I think are suppressors soldered down to the side. That one there, there's one out of this bag there. That one there, you see, is the 37. No suppressors soldered to that. Just the 2 wires coming from the end of the brushes. Nothing else attached to that at all. So 2 of each. Hopefully, I'll never ever get to use it. They seem to be. Since I've now got these as spares, hopefully they're like tempting fate. That if anything else, I've already got the parts now. But yeah, so there we are. Okay, so that's what's my insurance. I hope I never get to use them. All right, okay, okay, guys. So that's it. Just end the video. I'll just show you my engineering train going around, and the last view of my ugly mug. I promise you, I won't be doing it too many times to speak into the camera. All right. But Robert, not tea, cup of coffee, mate. All right. Cheers, Robert. All right, and yeah, wait for your new channel to be created, Robert. Cooking with Robert. Okay, so trains and food. All right. So there we are. That's a little idea of putting in your mind, seeing as you're gradually introducing that into your videos. So there we are. So we're looking forward to that. Right, I'll show you the engineering train. There we go. Bye, everybody. Alright then guys, right, bye for now, bye bye everybody, bye.